Hello friends, I am Ajit Kumar and I am a commerce trainer. In my experience of 10 plus years, I have come across many students whom I could help in understanding the basic concepts of accounts and income tax. Always stress on the concepts rather than solving more number of problems. In accounts, definitely there is practice required, but practice without understanding the concepts is mere a hard work, a donkey work. So let us work accounts smartly and outstand from other people. So let us begin with the most important chapter for grade 12, share capital. So we will be learning share capital chapter, which is one of the most important chapter in standard 12. Now, what are we going to study? In this session, we will see about share capital. Why do people have to invest in shares of a company? Types of capital. We will take bit more time in types of capital because that is the basics or foundation for the whole chapter. And one conceptual understanding of treatment of calls in arrears, forfeiture, and reissue of those shares in our balance sheets. Okay, let's begin. So, in simple words, there are many definitions, but let us go with simple words. It is the amount which is invested by public or any closed-ended group in the corporate for establishing or running a business. Now, share capital is just like the capital which is invested by a proprietor. Okay. In case of proprietor, he invests capital in the business. In case of partnership firm, they invest capital, but the number of people are 2 or more. In case of a company, a limited company, the same capital is distributed or invested by general public, or if it's a private limited company, any closed ended group. So it is basically an investment in a business to run or establish. Now, why do people invest in shares of a company? Now, if you start a company and you want people to invest in it, why does that happen? Why would that happen? Now, if people are investing, they are looking for some returns, right? So what could be the returns? First, as an investor, they would like to receive the profit which the company will distribute. Then people will like to encash the fluctuations in share price, that is equity market. In general, the principle is buy at low and sell at high. Some people also say buy at high and sell at higher. So for our chapter, we understand that these are the two reasons why people will like to invest in shares of a company. Let's understand different types of capital. Now, first and foremost is authorized share capital. This authorized share capital is divided into two types. One, which is reserved capital, As the name says, reserved, it is reserved for the winding up of the company. It is used only when there is winding up of company. We will discuss this at the end. We will right now discuss about unreserved capital, issued capital and unissued capital, issued, subscribed, in subscribed. Again, it is divided into subscribed and fully paid up, subscribed but not fully paid up. So here we go. Authorized capital. Authorized capital is the amount of share capital which a company is authorized to issue by its memorandum of association. It is in general always fixed. It is the highest amount which a company can raise as its capital. There can be some changes, but it needs approvals. It is also called nominal or registered capital. Right. Then we have issued capital. As discussed, authorized capital is the highest, hence we cannot exceed the amount of capital. Now, what is issued capital? Out of the whole authorized capital, we may not be interested in issuing all the money now itself, all the shares now itself. We don't need all the money right now. So we will issue a part of the whole authorized capital. Hence, it is that part of the authorized capital which is actually issued to the public for subscription. Then it is subscribed capital. Now, just like we subscribe for Netflix, subscribe for JioFiber and any other facilities or magazines, its shares, the company's shares are also at option to buy. In this case, we may issue the shares to the public, but public has option to subscribe it. Hence, this subscribed capital is that part of the issued capital which the public is interested to buy. It is just like giving our interest for purchase of shares. Called up capital. Now that we have given, or the public has given its interest in buying the shares or investing in the company through the said shares, we call only that portion of the capital which we are interested in, or we are in need if we are in need of it. It is that part of the subscribed capital which has been called up on the shares. The company may decide to call the entire amount or part of the face value of the shares. Let's take the example. If the face value of the share allotted is rupees 10 and the company has called up only 7, in that scenario, the called up capital is rupees 7 per share. Hence, this 3 rupees is not yet collected. When will it get collected? It will get collected as and when needed. Now, let me give clarity with respect to authorized capital, issued capital, subscribed capital, and called up capital. In case of authorized capital, say there are 40,000 shares, or let me make it a smaller figure, 4,000 shares at rupees 10. We may issue only 3,000 shares at rupees 10 face value. Subscription will be or may be for 3,000 shares at rupees 10. Now, for the same 3000 shares, we may call as of now only 6 rupees. Remaining 4 rupees we may call any point of time during the life of the company. In this case, this authorized capital is 4000 shares. We have issued only 3000, means we have 1000 shares of rupees 10 each, which we have kept as reserve capital. We will discuss about it at the end of this slide. Now, I hope it clarifies the difference between these all capitals. Now, paid up capital. Now, we may subscribe for certain magazines or certain services, but at the point where we have to make the payment, we may fail to make payment, or we may be able to make payment on time, or we may not be interested in making further payment. Hence, the paid up capital and called up capital may be different. Okay. Now, as we are discussing about paid up capital, it is that part of the called up capital which has been actually received from the shareholders. When the shareholders make payment for the called up capital, as discussed, I said that we only called 6 rupees. If the public pays 6 rupees, then we received everything. If the public pays less than this, then don't worry, we will discuss about it. Next, when the shareholders have paid all the call amount, the called up capital is the same to the paid up capital. If any of the shareholders has not paid amount on calls, such and equal to the called up capital minus calls in arrears. The amount which is not yet received is called calls in arrears. Okay. Next, uncalled capital. As discussed, the face value is 10 rupees, while we called only 6 rupees. That portion of subscribed capital which has not yet been called up is called uncalled capital. The company may collect this amount any time when it needs further funds. So it is different from reserve capital. I have been telling about reserve capital many a times. Now the time has come. Here it goes. A company may reserve a portion of its uncalled capital to be called only in the event of winding up of the company. Okay. Such uncalled amount is called reserve capital of the company. It is available only for the creditors on winding up of the company. Now, the difference between reserve capital versus uncalled capital. Reserve capital is the face value is 10, and in our example, whole 1000 shares are not yet called. They will be called only when there is winding up. In case of called up capital, we have issued 3000 shares at rupees 10 face value, but we have not yet called rupees 4 for these 3000 shares. So these 3000 shares at rupees 4 refers to uncalled capital. Okay. Now we will go to the treatment in the balance sheet for duly received, calls in arrears, forfeiture of shares, and reissue of shares. Let me tell you why I choose this topic. In this topic, many a times people don't understand. They may mug up the journal entries, but they struggle in posting it in the balance sheet. Okay. By discussing this topic, many of you will be able to understand how we can treat these items in our balance sheet. Let's take an example, illustration 1. In this case, the amounts duly received. Now, as we discussed, the issued capital, subscribed capital, called up capital, paid up capital. Now, till subscribed capital, there is no problem, or till called up capital, there is no problem. When there is paid up capital, in case the amount is not received, then we will have to account it in our books. In this illustration, there is no such problem. We have very good shareholders. They have paid all money due on due dates. In all the illustrations which we are going to see, you will find the last line in different color, which will give the difference between the previous question and previous illustration and the current one. In this case, this is the first illustration, and all the illustrations are same with same example of 40,000 rupees, 10 each, 3,000 shares issued. Okay. Now, in this case, the application money which we are proposed as installment is 3 rupees, allotment 3 rupees, first call 2 rupees, second and final call is 2 rupees. So total face value is rupees 10. The shares were fully subscribed for by the public and application money duly received on April 15, 2020. The directors made the allotment on May 1st, 2020, and all money due were received on due dates. In this case, what are we supposed to write in the balance sheet? I am not going to discuss all the journal entries. Okay, I am going to discuss how you are going to present it in the balance sheet. Here we go. Now, because the authorized capital is 4,000 shares at rupees 10 each, you have 40,000 rupees as authorized capital, which is the highest capital which you can raise. Next, you have subscribed and fully paid. We have very good shareholders, as I mentioned. Now we have 3,000 shares of 10 each, the face value, and we could collect all the money. Hence, our share capital is also 30,000 rupees. If you can see this, I have given only extracts of balance sheet for simple understanding. There are many other details which we can add in the balance sheet, but as an illustration, let us go with this simple format. Here, it is on the liability side. On the assets side, you have current assets, and because you collected 3,000 shares at rupees 10, cash and cash equivalents is 30,000 rupees. So there is the amount on the liability side and the amount on the asset side has tallied. I'll take you to the question again. You can have a look. Okay. Now let us go to the next question, or next illustration is, in this we have calls in arrears. What is calls in arrears? We just discussed. It is the amount not paid after the called up capital is there, or the capital is called up. On April 1st, 2020, a limited company was incorporated. Same question. We will not use our time there. Let us go directly to the highlighted one here. On due dates for second and final call money for 100 shares. See, always there will be some people who don't make payment on time. Call money for 100 shares were not received. So what to do with these people? They have paid up to here. 3 rupees paid, 3 rupees paid, 2 rupees paid, 2 rupees not paid in the second and final call. So see, these people have paid all 3 installments. We should be a little compassionate. We should wait. Maybe they will pay in future. So we will consider this as calls in arrears. Now let's see how it is treated in balance sheet. See, this thing doesn't change at all. Authorized capital. Subscribed, but not fully paid. See, earlier it was subscribed and fully paid. Now because some 100 people did not make payment, we had to change the headline. 3,000 shares of 10 each, which is 30,000, less calls in arrears of 100 shares of 2 each, which is 200. So the total comes to 29,800. So this is the amount of share capital as of now we have, because we didn't receive this money. Then share on the asset side is the same case, because we did not receive 200 rupees worth calls. So the amount collected is also 29,800. Isn't it easy? Now I have made this simple, kept it very simple in presentation. You just have to understand that this 200 will be reduced from share capital, not from the face value, but as a deduction from the total value, to say that still this amount is not yet received. All right. Next, the same illustration, but the climax is different. On due dates for second and final call money of 100 shares were not received. We were compassionate enough. We gave them some time, but they seemed to be very stubborn. They did not make payment for those 100 shares. So finally, we had to forfeit them. The other name for forfeit is cancel. Now, if somebody has paid in half and later he doesn't make payment for the last installment, is he eligible to get the ownership of that particular asset? No. Even if it is a bank loan, the bank shall not accept it. They will not give the ownership, or they may not allow the person to just go away. In this case, we have right, the company has right to cancel the shares. Only cancel will make the work easy? No. If the shares would have, the share money or the call money would have received on time, then our administrative work would have been easy. But because there is a delay or there is a non-payment, our administration work increased. So should we not penalize them? Hence, when we are canceling the shares, we also forfeit the money which we have already received. See, in case of 100 shares, we have already received rupees 8. As I told you before, they paid 3, 3 and 2. They only did not make payment for second call. So we did not receive 2 rupees per share. Hence, whatever amount we have received, that is called share forfeited amount. And that amount will be our surplus. Okay. Let's see. Authorized capital. Subscribed but not fully paid is 2,900. How is it 2,900? We had 3,000 shares, but because we cancelled 100 shares of 10 each, it is only 29,000 left. What about the extra money which we could recover from the 100 shareholders? 800 rupees, which I already gave you calculation, 100 into 8, which we have already collected from them. Hence, total amount which we have is 29,800 for share capital. Also, current assets, cash, you have 29,800. Okay. The same illustration, a little further, few more steps. The forfeited shares were reissued at rupees 6 per share as fully paid up. Now that we actually wanted 3,000 shares to be in the market so that we can collect 30,000 rupees from them. But what? Because of 100 shareholders, we right now have only this much amount. We need more money, though we have 800 rupees of them, but consider that we have only 29,000 face value. Okay. Now we want our 3000 shares to be in market. Hence, the 100 shares which we have cancelled, we will reissue. We will reissue. Here, I want to make a point that the shares which are issued or which are originally issued cannot be issued at discount. Cannot be issued at discount. While shares which are reissued, they can be issued at discount. Okay, let's check in this. We are reissuing the shares at rupees 6 per share as fully paid up. Fully paid up means what? At face value of 10 rupees, because we know it, the face value is 10 rupees, right? Hence, the forfeited shares were reissued at rupees 6 per share as fully paid up at a discount. So where will the discount be recovered? Where will be the discount recovered? Earlier, when we forfeited those shares, we have a surplus of 800 rupees. Okay, so this 800 rupees money profit or surplus that can be adjusted against the loss which we incurred when we reissued these shares. Now, what is the loss incurred? Now, we are supposed to issue at 10. We issued at 6. So the loss is rupees 4. And what is the number of shares? What are the number of shares? 4 into 100. So total loss is 400 rupees. And this amount of 400 is a capital reserve, or I can say it is reserve and surplus, which we got profit through the whole process of issue of shares, cancellation of shares, and reissue of shares. In the whole process, we could have a surplus which will be transferred to capital reserve account, 400 rupees. Okay. Hence, this is the treatment in balance sheet. 40,000 doesn't get any effect. 3,000 shares. Now, how did we get 3,000 again? We had 2,900 shares when we cancelled those 100 shares. Later, when we reissued them, we have 3,000 shares. So 3,000 shares of 10 each, 30,000 rupees. And remember, we have surplus of 400 rupees because 800 here we have discussed. Okay. So that 400 rupees will be part of reserve and surplus as capital reserve, and total amount which we will have on the liability side is 30,400. All right. Look at the asset side. Now, cash and cash equivalents, we have 30,400. How? We have 29,000 shares. Oh, sorry, we have 2,900 shares, 10 rupees each. We had collected earlier. From 100 shareholders or 100 shares, we have collected 8 rupees already and we cancelled it. So we got 800 rupees. And when we reissued those shares at the rate of 6 rupees, we got 600. So 29,000 plus 800 plus 600 comes to 30,400, and hence is the figure 30,400 on both sides of the balance sheet. Looks good. So this is how you make treatment for the 4 items which I mentioned here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I believe everything is clarified. I have many more concepts in accounts for like partnership. You have goodwill. Many people have difficulty in understanding of treatment of goodwill in different scenarios. If I get an opportunity, I will definitely make one more session on this, and we'll try to reach and help more students. Now, if you have any doubts, you're welcome. Log on to Urban Pro and find us. So, since it's a Corona time, pandemic time, so I'm sending you all a socially distanced thank you hug. Thank you very much. Goodbye.